Since I was a kid, I've watched people speak with total certainty about the truth, and then later realize they were wrong. Not random people either. I'm talking about my parents, my teachers, books that I trusted, the written word. Every generation seems sure that they have finally figured it all out, that their moment is the ultimate revelation. And in a way, they were right, but only for their moment. They explain truth as something fixed and final, when really it kept shifting based on how they lived and responded to life. So, truth never felt like something you can grab and hold forever. It's more like a current, always moving, always reshaping how we understand things as time goes on. And we are just stepping into a conversation that started long before us. When I look at different traditions, I see a similar pattern. The Hebrew prophets didn't act like they owned truth once and for all. They struggled. They struggled in exile, in loss, in rebuilding. Truth unfolded as they lived through the real events of their time. It wasn't abstract, it was breathed, remembered, and wrestled with. The Buddha taught in a similar way. He didn't hand people a fixed creed. He invited them to see clearly for themselves. Insight came from observing life, from noticing how everything changes. Truth wasn't new each time, it was rediscovered as awareness grew. Heraclitus said, "You never step into the same river twice." I love that. You never step into the same river two times. That image sticks with me. The river changes, and so do we. If both are always moving, then truth can't just sit still. We have to encounter it over and over in new circumstances with a different mind than the previous time. And when Yeshua said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free," I hear that word know as something ongoing. Not memorizing, not inheriting, but living it. Freedom doesn't come from having the right answers on paper. It comes from walking in a truth that keeps revealing itself through how we live and treat others. Across cultures, I don't see identical beliefs. I see something more subtle, a shared sense that truth shows up in its own time and only fully makes sense in that time. The Upanishads speak of truth as alignment with reality itself, something you grow into as your awareness deepens. It's not exhausted by one formula because the person seeking it is also changing. If that's the case, then truth isn't something that we own, it's something we care for. That requires humility. What we understand today might need some refining tomorrow. History shows this over and over. Traditions reinterpret their text. Scholars revisit old ideas. Communities admit where they were blind. That doesn't destroy the truth. It shows that it's alive. The Taoist idea that the Tao can be spoken is not eternal Tao feels like a reminder. Words help, but they can't contain everything. They point beyond themselves. Problems start when we confuse our explanation of truth with the truth itself. I've noticed that when new insights appear, either scientific, ethical, spiritual, they often feel threatening at first, but over time, many traditions learn to read their own teachings in a new light instead of throwing them away. That suggests truth isn't static, it interacts with history. This doesn't mean truth is just an opinion. It means we move closer to it through experience, dialogue, and moral reflection, while knowing we never hold it completely. Each generation sees some things clearly and misses others. Our task is to sharpen the clarity and reduce the blindness, trusting that the next generation will do the same for us. In that sense, truth asks for participation. It grows in the tension between personal insight and shared tradition. One tests the other. Between them, understanding matures. Early Christian communities show this as well. They wrestled with how ancient teachings should be lived out in a new world. Their debates weren't just confusion, they were truth being worked out in real time. So, truth isn't only what is said long ago, it is also what keeps speaking now to new questions and new crises. The deeper search for what is real, just, and life giving stays the same, even as the context changes. I like to think of truth as a horizon. You move toward it, but it never stops inviting you forward. That doesn't make the journey pointless, it gives it direction. It keeps conviction strong but humble. If truth is alive, then our beliefs affect real lives. A rigid view can ignore harm even when it's obvious. A living view asks again and again, is this bringing life, justice, compassion, or has it drifted away from what it was meant to serve? History then becomes a teacher, not an embarrassment. Past mistakes show where understanding was incomplete. Admitting them lets truth grow clearer and more humane. Denying them just freezes us in an earlier stage. At the same time, not everything changes. Some insights, human dignity, responsibility, the search for meaning, keep resurfacing across centuries. They're like deep currents beneath the surface waves. Calling truth alive also means admitting that our own understanding is alive. It grows, deepens, and sometimes needs correction. That can feel unsettling, but it's also freeing. We don't have to defend truth like a fragile possession. We get to live inside it, question it, and let it reshape us. In the end, truth lives in history, in experience, and in conscience. It honors tradition while staying open to growth. It avoids both arrogant certainty and total skepticism. And it keeps unfolding patiently, inviting us to stay humble, attentive, and responsible as we take part in its ongoing story.